Hello again, viewers. Here I am with another review for you. Today I'm talking about rope, specifically Hempex synthetic rope that was sent to me by Kinky. It is 10 meters long bondage rope. Here we go. They actually sent it to me with the offer that I could use it in some of my photographs, which I have done. But I decided that I actually had something to say about the rope, so I thought I would record one of my reviews. At first glance, this rope looks exactly like hemp, like real rope. I don't think that you would know the difference just by, briefly looking at it. It's only, I think, when you start to handle it that the differences become apparent. When it arrived in the post, and they did tell me this as well, and it does say this on their site, it was really exceptionally stiff, unusable stiff. But they advised me to wash it in the washing machine inside a pillowcase, and that should actually go away. I actually washed it twice because after the first wash I didn't feel like it had improved very much. It kind of hung on the washing line looking a bit rigid and strange, so I washed it again. So at this point I have washed it twice. I actually think it could probably do with another, perhaps even a couple more washes. I think that will probably loosen it up a little bit more. So if you do buy this, the first thing you're going to need to do is put it in the washing machine. And I would put it inside a pillowcase if you're going to put it in with other stuff, and also just it's less likely to cause a damage to your washing machine. So just some little comparisons with the synthetic rope and the rope we already had, which is actually real hemp rope. I think probably the only real visual difference you can see straight away is this is just slightly lighter in colour. This has a kind of darker, perhaps slightly more natural colour to it than the other one, but that's about it. The big difference for me is the weight. This is weightless. It weighs nothing. I haven't weighed it to tell you, but just nothing. There's no weight to it at all. In contrast to the hemp, which really has a significant weight. You can feel it. You can even see that as I hold it in my hand. The weight of it kind of makes it hang down, which isn't the case with the synthetic. So the weight is a big difference straight away. As soon as you pick them up, you would know which was which. And the other thing as well is the texture. This is coarser and rougher, and this is much smoother. There's none of that. There's none of the roughness about it at all. I don't know if we can even see them much closer up. I think you can even see there. This is much smoother material, and this has a much kind of coarser, slightly pricklier feel to it. And finally, the other really big difference is smell. The hemp rope smells like rope. It smells earthy and almost like it's alive. It smells like a natural product in the same way that leather does. Leather has a distinct smell. So does hemp rope. This smells of washing powder where it's been in the washing machine. So there's a big difference there. Which kind of leads me into the things that I liked and didn't like about it. The weight element of it is actually, oddly, from different points of view, from my point of view, what I tend to use it for, and what he tends to use it for is slightly different. So for me, the weight was a really interesting thing because I carry rope with me in my camera bag when I go out and take all my pictures. And I carry a lot of gear. I carry a lot of lenses and a heavy camera. So anything that I add to my bag that has a weight adds to that stuff that I have to carry, and I walk a long way too. So for me, the fact that it weighs nothing was brilliant, and in that respect, from the rope that I will carry around with me, the synthetic rope was great, because I can add this to my bag and it doesn't make any difference to how much the bag weighs, in contrast to the hemp rope, that if I carried perhaps 2 or 3 of these, there is enough for me to feel the difference in the weight of my bag. And in that same regard, for using it to take photographs, it looks exactly like hemp in the kind of photographs that I would take outdoors. You know, we're not talking about close-up macro photography. You're not going to be able to see that this isn't real rope. It looks exactly like hemp. You're not going to know any different. The things I didn't like about it are really in reference to it being used for rope bondage on me. So one of the things that I actually really get off on with rope is the smell. The smell is part of rope play to me, and one of the stimulating factors to it. So the fact that this doesn't smell at all, that it doesn't have that earthy, gritty smell, means using it for that purpose on me, I have lost that little spark that I love. I have been known to being given a bundle of rope to just smell while we're doing something else, because that smell in my head is really equated with rope bondage and is a real turn on to me. So it doesn't have that. It just doesn't have that smell, and it's never going to. And the feel as well, which again is personal to me. I actually like the coarser, gritty feel of the hemp rope on my skin. There's that almost added discomfort to it that I get off on, and the synthetic rope doesn't have that. It's much smoother. It doesn't have that kind of slightly coarse, prickly feel that I particularly like. So with that regard, it doesn't work for me in that sense. But I also thought that it would be interesting to ask him, as the rigger, I guess, what he thought about it, because obviously our points of view are very different. Mine is about, how it turns me on in the sense of, being the receiver, but he works with it in a different way. So he said that things that he did like about it is that it doesn't hold its shape in quite the same way that rope can, that the hemp can have a tendency to. So when your rope is bundled, if you keep it like that, these kind of kinks, the hemp holds that shape more, and so you could, just bending it and twisting it, it really holds that shape much more. In some ways that can be a good thing, but in respect of the kind of storing it, the twists at the end, he says that the hemp tends to hold those a lot more, whereas this, it doesn't. You can put the kinks in and take it out straight away. So that was one thing that he liked about it, is that it doesn't hold that kind of shape so much. The other thing was that he said is that there's no mess. The hemp gives off fibres, rope fibres, and we have on occasion ended up realising that our bed is kind of slightly uncomfortable and itchy because it's full of rope fibres, and that is not the case with the hemp. There's nothing coming off it, so there's absolutely no mess. So that was something else that he quite liked. And also because of the way the synthetic is cut, and because it's synthetic, there is no fraying. It's heat cut on the end, so it's basically kind of melted onto itself. It does mean that there is a very scratchy kind of plasticky end on it. However, it does mean that it's not going to fray. Other benefits of the synthetic rope is that it's not going to rot. It's not going to gradually disintegrate in the same way that real rope does, because it's essentially a plastic. It doesn't have that same ability to degrade that a natural product has. So there's another difference there. But there were things that he didn't like about it as well. He said that it feels more slippery in his hands. Not quite as easy to kind of get a real grip on, and that it kind of slips through much quicker. And also the weight is a factor as well when you're working with rope, both from the point of view that he knows that how the hemp handles and how it feels, that actually when you're using the synthetic it is different, that the weight of it is gone, and so that was a negative thing. But also with regards to the hemp rope, when it's on you, it also has a physical weight on you. If you're wearing it as a harness or anything like that, you know that you're wearing it, not just in the sense that it's touching your skin, but in the sense that it adds a physical weight to you, which the synthetic rope doesn't do. There isn't any weight to it. So that was kind of his downside of it with regards to the weight. He said apart from the fact that you can feel it on your skin, you wouldn't actually know you've got it on, because it doesn't give any weight in that sense. The other thing about it, which we can't really decide whether it's a plus point or not, and I think it very much depends on how you're using it and what you want to use it for, but the synthetic rope, there is no give in it. It is not going to stretch, which means that when you make a knot, that is the knot. It is not going to gradually loosen or stretch or pull. Again, that really depends on what you're using it for, but it is something to really keep in mind. But I think that the two different ropes handle quite differently, and so it would be something you'd have to take into account. And if you've been very much used to using real hemp rope, where it does have a give in it, it will, you can, I mean, you probably can't see that, but you can kind of stretch and pull that out. And so when you use it and tie knots, they will give, which the synthetic rope, it just doesn't. There, you can't make this move in any way. So something to bear in mind. It really does depend what you're using it for, but definitely something to keep in mind. So overall, that's really our summary. It does depend what you're using the rope for and what you want it for. If, like me, the smell and the feel of it and the weight of it is part of what turns you on, is part of the kink for you, the synthetic rope is going to make you sad because it doesn't smell, it has no weight, and it doesn't have that kind of slightly coarse feel that the hemp rope does. So if those are important to you, if those are part of what turns you on about rope, this isn't going to do it for you. But if you are looking for rope that's light, that's durable, that's portable, if you want to carry a lot of this stuff around, then this is going to be a winner for you. It really is. I mean, the weight significance is quite real, and obviously the more of it there is, the more hemp rope there is, the heavier the bags are, or however you take this stuff around. The more there is, the more significant the difference is going to be. So the weight thing is really important, I think. And as I said, if that's something that is important to you, then this is going to make a real difference. So price-wise, on Uber Kinky, you can get 10 meters. This is what this is, for $8.99. But the more of the 10 meter bundles that you buy, the cheaper they get, going down to the cheapest of $6.99. I did have do a little bit of research round and about. The hemp rope I think you can buy cheaper than that price per meter, although it depends on, you know, how you want the ends finished. If you're happy to finish the ends yourself, will depend on how much you pay. So price wise, this works out a little bit more expensive, but I didn't, from my brief research, I wouldn't say it was a huge amount where you go, wow, there's a big difference in price, but the hemp is cheaper. So I think that in that regard, it's fairly good value for money. It really just depends how you want to use it. For me, this is going to live in my camera bag. This will be the rope that I take everywhere with me, simply because it means that I've got less weight to carry, and it does exactly what I need it to do. It looks exactly like rope. It will be easy for me to work with, and it weighs nothing. So in that regard, thank you very much, Uber Kinky, because you have done me a good job there sending me that. As far as using rope for our rope play, for bondage play, I'm sure it will have its moments where it will be used for certain things, but as a general rule, I suspect that we will continue to keep using the hemp rope, simply because I will like the feel of it, and probably most of all, more than anything else, is the smell. And I absolutely love that smell. I really get off on that. So there you go. That's what I have to say about the synthetic hemp bondage rope, and happy tying, people. Hopefully I'll see you again soon. Bye.